and welcome to Labor Lens. I am Sharon Ijaso. On this week's episode of the program, we will be discussing about infrastructural development in Nigeria and the way forward. But first, let's take the news. We will be right back.
For the union makes us strong.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU Lagos Zone, held a press conference in Lagos to discuss the state of the renegotiation of the 2009 ASU Federal Government Agreement. According to the lecturers, they want an immediate reconstitution of the current government renegotiation team to allow for a less fixated leader and chairman of the ASU FGN recognition team and a speedy completion of the exercise. Release of operational license of NOPEMCO, immediate release of the forensic audit report on EAA payments, ensure funding and proliferation of state universities.
Never in the history of our relationship with government has government released any money to ASU. Normally, government release money to various universities. Even the academic allowances was not released to ASU as a union. It was released to the benefiting universities for disbursement. So ASU, our own is just to negotiate, get good condition of service, get proper funding for our university, because you know that if that one is attained, we are guaranteed of our job, and then we are also sure of the quality of the students that we churn out.
What Nigeria runs now, which is a product which is handed down to us by all these confused capitalists and their lackeys and slaves in the country, is what they call the envelope system. Universities in the past used to budget. You budget for the number of staff you need, the developmental programs that will bring up staff that you need, you retain your best hands and all that. But since this thing about envelope system comes in, you need this, they will tell you this is what we can afford. And that is why up till now in Nigeria, even with this government, it got worse.
The National Union of Civil Engineering, Construction, Furniture and Wood Workers held its 40th anniversary with the theme, The Role of Infrastructure in a Developing Economy. According to stakeholders at this event, they lament the issue of abandoned projects in different parts of the country.
Of infrastructure in developing our economy, a case study of Nigeria, which is the team you have chosen, is quite apt. And it could not have come at a better time, as all of us know that infrastructural issues are central to our quest to attain our potential as a country. The World Economic Forum states that every dollar spent on infrastructure has a potential to generate between 5 to 10% of economic growth. And therefore, this is very central and key. I always say, one of the issues that is affecting this critical sector, because I've also looked at the array of abandoned projects that we have in our country, cutting across all the tiers of government. In fact, we cannot even quantify the abandoned projects that we have in the length and breadth of this country. And therefore, associated closely with this is lack of prioritizing those projects, also building into the design how those projects can be completed. But importantly, is also the centrality of the issue of corruption.
Nigeria has very beautiful policies on infrastructure, starting from Vision 2020 to the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan, to the current Economic Reform and Growth Plan. Of course, the sectoral policies in the different subsectors of infrastructure. But what we have observed is that these policies are more or not in the breach. They do not inform the budget, because we should have a policy plan budget continuum where evidence from policies and plans informs the budget.
There has been so much abandoned projects than ever before. In my ministry, the Ministry of Water Resources, I inherited 116 of such projects. Some of these projects had been abandoned for 17 years, 20 years. I have a project that I know started in 1987 is still on the the contractors are to abandon site. But today, I ask you to go and ask. We've been able to prioritize just what you are saying. We've been able to prioritize these projects to see those that are of benefit to the people, and we're working on them assiduously.
The construction industry have done very well. But in the other end, the infrastructure in Nigeria is decayed because of government inability to pay to the construction industries. The contract that have been awarded to the construction industry. The construction workers are ready to contribute their quota to the development of this country. But for the fact that the day-to-day government are not doing well to bring funds to these industries, FOSI, in order for development to strive well, is a problem that we are facing. And if you look at it today, the construction workers are the ones suffering the pain, because the pain go back to them. If you hire me today and tomorrow you relieve me of my job, definitely it will affect the economy. It will affect my family. It will affect everything I do in my life.
The infrastructure will drive the economy. And when a contract is issued to a company, for instance, and you mobilize that company to go to site, then after that company has exhausted its mobilization, you refuse to pay. That is not it's not developing. We cannot call that sector that is developed because it's a sector that we belong. We want to say the sector would have driven the economic, but it has not meet up with the lead performance elite.
On the Profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the National President of the National Union of Civil Engineering, Construction, Furniture and Woodworkers, Comrade Amechi Asuguni. He will be shedding light on the several challenges the infrastructural sector in Nigeria is faced with and the possible solutions. Join me. It's good to have you on the program.
You're welcome.
A lot is happening in the construction sector, and your union just celebrated its 40th anniversary. How would you say the construction, the engineering, the woodworkers, how would you say they fared over the past 40 years?
Actually, the sector, as you can see, represent the true foundation for infrastructure for a given country. And like the theme of our summit stated, the role of infrastructure in a developing economy, in particular case study of Nigeria. Construction Union has displayed its relevance over 40 years. And the convention is all over that it's a sector that can be used to measure infrastructure growth in Nigeria. As a people who believe in commitment, members of this union have contributed their quotas to various companies in the quest to achieving the required goal. The problem we have certainly is not the company, certainly also cannot be the workers. The problem is the government that should set the infrastructural framework for the country. We're talking about infrastructural design. This has to be achieved before a contract is awarded. So when this is already rolled out to companies engage members to do the job, actualize the project, and fine, we are good to go. But over the years, we have seen situations whereby projects are awarded, new government come and they pick up another project, leaving the dream of Nigeria almost half done all the time. It's a problem because a country does not change. What changes is the people that governs the country. So when we say new government, probably is a scenario that affects the vision of every administration. The new government we talk about that, we're talking about new people in government. Government remain constant because if we don't see it that way, the challenge of fluctuation in terms of infrastructure will continue. And average Nigeria will tell you in the next 10 years where we're going to be. And that is why you see government in and out giving the same promise. Every time we tell you they will construct road, that same road will carry over to their second tenure, they will tell you they will construct the same road. And we're talking about developing country that has to be building on what you have built. So the question is, these 40 years has exposed a lot of inadequacy in terms of infrastructural growth in Nigeria. And I thank God that construction provided a platform that discusses infrastructural growth in Nigeria. That has exposed a lot of hidden virtue to government. And as a matter of decision, the National Executive Council have directed that this union should summarize the outcome of that summit and present it to Mr. President. Because if somebody must not do something, there are people that are willing to do it free of charge. And construction has offered itself to play that role. We are going to summarize the discussion of that summit, including the recommendations made on the way forward for Nigeria infrastructure. And by the grace of God, between now and October, we will ensure that that letter gets to Mr. President through the concerning ministries.
Looking at the issue of abandoned road projects in Nigeria, it's something that kept coming up during the conference held recently in Abuja. With what you've heard, with what the speakers and the keynote lecturer has actually said, would you say that your union has a roadmap set, like an agenda for the government to ensure that the number of abandoned projects that we have, road projects we have in Nigeria, is probably reduced or probably completed in good time?
Yes, I think what I have discovered of recent is when somebody has no detailed knowledge of something, he may not also have the sacrificial time and attention to such. And that has informed me to believe that the overtime abandonment we have suffered in terms of project-wise is as a result of loss of connection, believing that projects are not tied to individuals. Projects are for the country. Projects are for the state. Projects are for the people. Infrastructure are part of the facilities that distribute the dividend of democracy to the people. Infrastructure is the evidence of governance. So the abandonment of project now is as a result of lack of priorities by governance. When they place priority on project, every government has a plan for a particular project. There is always a purpose for a particular road. Otherwise, it becomes economic waste. So when a project is awarded to achieve a particular objective, irrespective of the government that award that project, is seen to be government priority. And therefore, when another government should come on board, is to take after the, irrespective of the party. See, country Nigeria is not known to be any political party. Political parties, these are political institutions put in place to gain power. But the government of this country is of democracy, for the people. How do you govern that the people will enjoy basic facilities such as road, medical, name them, transportation, a good transport system, reliable one, is capable of saving Nigeria even from the challenge of agriculture that we're talking about. How would the rural area get access to the urban market if there's no road? So you need to know why you are connecting the urban to the rural areas. You need to know that the influx of people to the urban will certainly increase rentage fee. And as such, housing provision is necessary. But when you don't have this within your memory or your program, You will just be awarding projects for awarding sake. That is why you see this is a country where they award airport to a particular region and they award another airport to another region just to distribute airport to where it has no economic basis. So for me, abundant project, as part of our recommendation to government is that they should place priority on project, irrespective of who has awarded that project, to ensure that project A has to finish for B to connect to it. If you abandon project A to start another project, you are just simply beginning a new project. And that is a big loss. It's a big waste, and we must kick against it.
We've all been encouraged to be whistleblowers. I would like to ask you, has there been any time the union actually raised eyebrow or probably informed the public or probably reminds the government of some of the projects that they've abandoned?
Yes, I think one of the factors we have recently, even through the speaker of that summit, is to be told that the cost of our project is unnecessarily high as a result of probably lack of proper evaluation before projects are awarded. In terms of a whistleblower, where it exists, for me, we don't have such cases because it's only when you have actually paid for the project that one will be guided to know whether...
But there's this trend that we know of a project being completed on paper, but at the end of the day, in reality, it's not. So is there anything the union is hoping to probably do in some few years to come or some few months in terms of engaging the government properly? Because we know that if there are projects to be done, we know that your workers, the companies will be more engaged, and it will definitely probably create more wealth for the workers and also increase the number of jobs that we have. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think for now, I will say nothing of such at my disposal, but I must tell you that the union is resolute in terms of monitoring. We've done it before, including fight against casualization. Ordinarily, it's not the duty of trade union. But I will tell you that this administration, for the past 5 years, we have converted over 10,000 casuals to permanent staff. We are doing that because, as a matter of fact, we wrote to the Minister of Labour to tell him that this is our struggle, even though we know we need the federal government to have done this, but all we need is support so that nobody says why, because what we are doing is to protect the citizens of this country. And we have done that successfully. And regarding where abnormal payments are made to have completed the project where it does not exist, the union will not fail to look into that because that will also amount to illegality. You know, more or less like when people practice ghost employment in the state and then they keep complaining of bogus salary budget, whereas you can't see the people. The figure exists, but nobody. And I think where you have people presenting documents for job not completed as though it has been completed, you still need government to be upright in that area because a contractor cannot summon that courage if nobody is beating that drum from the government side. So
would you say that the Ministry of Labour is doing its job in terms of supervising or ensuring that employers of labour in your sector comply when it comes to the standard practice of how the construction sector should be?
Over time, we have actually raised issues with regard to inadequacy in terms of monitoring capacity from the Ministry of Labour. But with the recent discussion we had with the Minister, he has also assured us, including promises that where it exists, beyond the monitoring unit coming there, that even myself can put a call to him to report such cases, and he will do everything possible to arrest the situation. But beyond that, we want a self-effective system whereby the companies already we know that illegality is not pardoned in Nigeria. And when you have such time, because I know very well that the monitoring unit over time has not performed effectively. I may not know their reason, but I know very well that most of the companies has fallen short because of the inadequacy we suffer from the monitoring side, where you have government carry out their functions effectively in terms of forcing companies to comply with rules in the working place, safety, and other measures that will produce decent work. I think it will go a long way to promote health and safety in the workplace. And above all, increase productivity in the workplace, because even the case of wage itself is a measure to productivity where it occurs. But I want to believe that we'll still use this medium to call on federal government to energize its institutions that are responsible in monitoring anti-labor practices across infrastructure, across construction companies, to ensure that they do it diligently, so that no company hide under this shortfall to take advantage of Nigerians.
The union adopted the slogan "Building the Nation" at its 40th anniversary. Can you share with us why this was adopted?
Yes, the choice for the adoption of the motto "Building the Nation" by the National Union of Civil Engineering, Construction, Furniture and Woodworkers. This came as a result of you, first and foremost, you need to know who you are, your relevance and your significance to a country. We have discovered that you can't build Nigeria without infrastructure. And infrastructure cannot exist without construction. And as such, we need to encourage our people. We are the one building, irrespective of the challenges of the economy. We must keep to our tent that we are the builders of this nation, and call it any way or any name. So long infrastructure is concerned, construction remain the pioneers of establishing it. We remain the only channel to bringing it to bed. So for us, we are the builders of this nation, and we will continue to build. That name, Building the Nation, is to encourage our members to continue to remain resolute and put in their best. As the name sounds, so our values sound. And there is no contest to that. We are indeed building the nation.
Talking about expatriate quota, in your sector, would you say that employers of labor are actually adhering to the standard according to law in Nigeria?
Yes, here we come again about expatriate quota. This matter has come and gone, and is still coming, because a country that has no consistent practice in terms of defending its people will always do an in and out approach. Don't forget, we have the art that is actually providing for indigenous to have upper hand in some sector or sections of work in terms of our sector. Unfortunately, some expatriates, in quote, has taken advantage of lapses, both from immigration and other borders, to just enter in the name of expatriate and then still do the job of Nigerians. So in one way or the other, they are also shortchanging Nigerians in terms of employment opportunities. And the expatriate quota, we may not be able to ascertain it, because don't forget, it's the duty of government to monitor and ensure that no employer breach the content law. So the monitoring of it has to be their duty. And I remember there's always a committee that supervises this practice, and they visit companies to ensure that they comply with the local content law. So that law exists, but the question is how effective is the enforcement. So for us, from what we are seeing in some Chinese companies and other European companies in the sector, they bring in some white, not necessarily the expat nature of their job, but just because they saw the opportunity to key in. So for us, they should continue to resist those employees from the company side that are not necessarily expat, that has come to dominate and take the job of Nigerians. It's unacceptable, because we can't do it to them. They don't suffer that against us in their country, but we suffer it here against our people. So for me, we'll continue to advocate that government live up to expectation in ensuring that employment are measured according to their quotas. Job made for Nigerians should be done by Nigerians, and where you have few jobs that require expatriate, even those jobs that require expat need, requires a Nigerian to partner with that expert such that in a short run or a longer run, depending on the nature of the job, a Nigerian should have full idea of that job. But in this case, expatriate work for 1 year, 10 years, and is still doing the same job. Nigerians should monitor this, and it should be the duty of all.
So talking about the indices, would you say that with the indices of us spending twice the amount of money compared to other African countries to construct roads, do you think that we are ready for infrastructural growth?
Yes, I express my fear because when we have a proof that says the cost of constructing a kilometer road in Nigeria is double of what is spent outside the nation, irrespective of the soil nature of the country. Because average road in this country, you can consider the north, where at least you can't complain much of swamp. So, but if you take a sample from the north and then you discover that a kilometer road is worth twice what we are spending in Kenya or Ghana, then one is afraid because it means that from the origin we are not getting it right. And that is where some people may suspect corruption because these costs are deliberate. Whereby a road that's required to take 100 billion is taking double, and then people will tell you they cannot pay salary, but they'll do everything possible to see how they can dig out certain percentage of that money, and then before you know, the contractor may not tell you everything. So we are worried that from the source where the contract is awarded is the problem, not actually the contractor. It's not what the tender they get, and therefore we just have to monitor the financial books of this state to actually know what goes to the contractor and what's come back in return. Because if what is being awarded for infrastructure is put on infrastructure on a yearly basis, we can't be where we are. I'm very sure we can be. From the central to the unit of state, the money voted in through budget, every year we talk about the need of financial infrastructural linkage, and we are linking them abnormally. And again, the chances of getting what we want on a yearly basis is not there, then it cause for worry because it's a country that everybody wants to see growing. And if the money is available, but the experts to bring this money to practice in terms of building the nation is lost, then the children, the future generation, they have lost their dream.
Okay, with all you said, it's obvious that there's a lot of whistleblowing that we might have to be seeing from the Construction Workers Union. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you. God bless you. You're welcome.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.